Now everybody knows that G1 Transformers is one of the best toy lines ever created and one of my favorite, of course, growing up in the 80s. So, I mean, how could it not be, right? And I had a few as a kid, and that's what I'm going to talk about right now, my top 5 favorite G1 Transformers. But before we do that, we need to talk about the sponsor of this video. If you have ever wanted to learn a new skill, now is the perfect opportunity with Skillshare. Maybe the skill of talking. Skillshare is an online learning community of millions for creative and curious people like all of us. On Skillshare, you can learn from a vast array of subjects from photography to filmmaking to music to fine arts, and that's just to name a few. And the great thing is you can learn these new skills with a vast community of millions that are all there to help support you. I've been using Skillshare to fine-tune my skills when it comes to the movie making process, so I took a course from Fred Trevino. It's called Color Grading, Creating a Cinematic Look. Now, for a limited time, the first 1,000 subscribers to click the link below will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. So click below and let's get creative.
Oh, it's Friday night. Don't know what I'm gonna do tonight. I could sit here and pick my nose while I watch a brand new video. Whoa, Top 5 Friday tonight.
It's honestly hard to rank these because they're all so equally awesome, and I left a lot of good ones off this list. But I guess if I had to narrow it down, this would be what it would be, and I'm gonna have to go with number 5 being Jetfire or Skyfire. I think the toy is actually called Jetfire, or is the toy called Skyfire? It's very confusing. Well, not very confusing. Now, we all know at this point that Transformers was basically a multitude of different toy lines thrown together under one banner, Transformers. And so that's why they all look vastly different. And this one was a Macross. I never watched the show, but Robotech. Anyway, that was that toy line brought over to be a Transformer. And this was one of the coolest ones for me because it was so giant. It was a jet, loved jets, and it was a lot of intricate pieces. It was very detailed. It wasn't like Bumblebee where you flip a few things and you transform it. You know, you had to sit there for a while and take the time to really meticulously transform this thing from robot mode to jet mode to, well, actually somewhere in between sometimes with the plane with the legs. It was awesome. It was an adventure trying to transform this thing. I'm going to give number 5 to Jetfire. Number 4 on the list is Soundwave. And I absolutely loved Soundwave because it was, well, you could turn him into a boombox, and growing up in the 80s, how could you not like a boombox, right? But the fact that you could actually put the tapes into his tape deck when it opened up was just so cool. And the fact that you had all these cassettes that came with it, like Ravage and Laserbeak and I forget all the other ones, but there were several that you could put in him, and it was just super cool to have that. And I just liked the way he looked. I liked the way he transformed. I mean, you know, if you think about it, a boombox, I mean, it's not really gonna do much. Like if you're in a jet, you can fly. If you're in a car, you can drive. I mean, what's a boombox gonna do? Just sit there and rock out? Well, you know, I didn't really think about that as a kid. It was just super cool to have something that transformed into a boombox and to have cassettes be able to it was just cool. Like, it doesn't make any sense in a fight, but it was just cool. Number 3, gonna have to give it to Optimus Prime. I think this was one of, if not the first Transformer I ever got. And, you know, being a kid watching the show, Optimus Prime is the hero of the show. Every kid had to have an Optimus Prime, and, you know, I was no exception. So I got that Optimus Prime. I played with it so much, and the thing about it is it's so easy to lose his fists and his accessories, and a lot of the Transformers were like that as well. But I think I played most of my time having him. I didn't have the fists or the gun that went with him. Even now as an adult, I knew when I had both fists, and now one of them's gone. I don't know what it is about Optimus Prime's fists. They seem to just kind of float away and go into some kind of alternate dimension. I bet there's a dimension out there the scientists will discover that will have a bunch of Optimus Prime fists. And the fact that he had his trailer with a bunch of machinery back there that you could open up. It basically became like a little play set, essentially. Made that toy super cool. And I just remember always just having an absolute blast with Optimus Prime. And there's no way I would have a top 5 G1 Transformers without Optimus Prime near the top. Which, well, actually, honestly, probably on some other day, it might have been number 1. Number 2 on the list is Grimlock. You know, most kids liked dinosaurs growing up. So combining robots with dinosaurs, you have a recipe for success. And I'm sure kids everywhere were ecstatic when they got their Grimlocks for Christmas or birthday or whatever. Or hell, even any of the Dinobots. I had several. Sludge, Swoop. I think that's the only other ones I had. But Grimlock was the coolest just because, well, he's a T-Rex. And I like the way he talked on the cartoon. Me, Grimlock! That made him awesome as well, because I guess I felt smarter than him. So anyway, though, the toy itself, I always liked the way they transformed. So you have this super cool T-Rex, and I'd always liked the way they looked in robot form. I don't know why, I can't really describe it. It's just, they got a cool look to them. This is one of the ones I actually remember opening up and seeing. Like, I could remember what it looked like in the box. Most of my other memories of opening them up are vague and non-existent, but for whatever reason, yeah, this one I can remember opening it up, and I think I got them with Sludge. So it was like two Dinobots for Christmas, and so I was battling with Dinobots, even though they should be on the same side, but you know, dinosaurs fight each other, right? Now, number 1, the top Transformer of all time, really is kind of 3, but since they're all essentially the same mold, just painted differently, I'm just going to count it as 1. Starscream, Skywarp, and Thundercracker. I'm going to give it up to Starscream. From my friend across the street, I had Skywarp and Starscream, and he had Thundercracker, so we had all 3 jets, and I can't tell you how often we would just fly these jets around the neighborhood. Some of the bigger kids would pick on us and call us, you know, babies for playing with toys, but it didn't matter because we had awesome jet transformers. I love jets. My dad worked in the military building stuff that I can't talk about, but he was always fascinated with the jets and brought that kind of stuff home, so I grew up with that. So anything jet related I was always into, and so when you combine that with the Transformers, robots, yeah, of course I was gonna just absolutely love that. And Starscream was an awesome character on the cartoon as well, so that definitely helped. One of my favorite, if not favorite, character in the cartoon was Starscream. I'm gonna scream after this video. But the toy, awesome. And again, it's another one of those situations. It's so easy to lose the parts. I'm sure I know I lost the landing gear. So yeah, I think by just a small margin, I think that I probably have the most nostalgia for Starscream. And a lot of that has to do with my friend across the street, Frankie, and I constantly playing with those things. But yeah, let me know what your favorite G1 Transformers are down below, or maybe you think Transformers sucks. That's okay too. No, it's not. That's not okay. There's one thing that we can all agree on as a nation, is that Transformers are awesome.